It has been over a year now since we put up the old greenhouse, and it's still standing really good. You can see the finished product here. Plenty of time for some of the weeds on the outside to kind of have overgrown a little bit. Need to do some weed eating there, but that's like a good overview of the entire greenhouse and the build. One thing you actually may notice is that the roofing is actually now corrugated steel. Let me open the door here, show you the inside. So you can see, my wife's got quite a bit of plants in here. We've actually had to move a bunch of plants because we're in Texas and we had a freeze, and pretty much every plant that was in here died this year. So we've been getting new ones, but also moving other plants in. Now inside, when I made the video, I actually had dirt on here. So we made the walkway, and then you can see here, we put a small pebble in there, which I actually thought was a good idea. My wife says, with much love, she would probably prefer having some larger stones because they kind of get stuck to her feet. But if you come in here with shoes, really nice, doesn't track any dirt, feels really comfortable on your feet. And yeah, there's your flip-flops. So the dirt that I had originally in there, I didn't have in the video, that being covered. My original plan was that she was going to just plant all around it. We made some corrections and some additions, and we ended up putting more plywood down on the outsides, and then we were able to build 2 tables. And I believe they're 8 feet each from the tops. And those were really easy to build. My wife actually helped me make those, and she was able to kind of do them the way she wanted. And yeah, that was actually really easy, but kind of really completed the greenhouse. With making the tables, we also put a bunch of things to hang, equipment, tools. This is one of the rain guards that she has yet to hang, but you can see we've got one over there on the table, and then also on top of the greenhouse we did a couple of hanging hooks for hanging plants, and then we also did some other hangers on the framing of the greenhouse, which you could probably put as many of those up as you want. I really think the hanging style ones are really great because there's a lot of really nice hanging plants, and it kind of helps you just kind of fill out the greenhouse. One last thing to mention for the greenhouse, depending on where you live, the greenhouse really doesn't get a lot of good airflow. It's really hot in here. I don't know if this temperature gauge is accurate, but it's looking like it's over 100 degrees in here, which we live in Texas, and it's summer, it's hot. So, a lot of the plants that we get, a little too hot for them. And we can make do with that by constantly watering. But think about airflow as well. Yeah, you may notice that the roofing is corrugated steel. When we first did it, we had corrugated plastic of some form, and we had a hailstorm, and we lost the roof. Lots of holes went into the roof. We actually ended up losing only one window pane, which you can see I still have not replaced. But because of that hailstorm, we went to the corrugated steel, and honestly, it's way better. It's the way to go. Nearly completed. There, the horse trough pool right next to the greenhouse, and everything's looking pretty good back here. If I had to say if there was any lessons learned building the greenhouse, first one would be, unless you're doing it like a gift like I did and it was a surprise, Definitely go into it with a good idea of what you want to do. For me particularly, it was the flooring inside, as well as the roof material. Another lesson learned for me is the greenhouse itself is actually standing pretty good right now. But one thing we need to do, we still haven't done, is treat the wood. So you can see the wood is starting to, it's not to the rot stage yet, but it's definitely weather affected. Last thing, my wife wouldn't let me forget. So we have to bring the hose out to water inside the greenhouse. Building some kind of attachment. If you want to have a hose out here and build a valve station, that's awesome. A good alternative would be to install a rain bucket somewhere on the side, obviously on the downslope of your roof. And you just need to have a gutter piece that goes along the back, have it connect down, go into your bucket, and then obviously you want to have the bucket up somewhat high because it's going to be gravity fed into the greenhouse. So that's something that my wife wants that I haven't done yet, but I would highly recommend putting in.